These are not the bad guys.
Why did you cut the door?
What? No, it was already like that, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
It was. Yeah,
Yes.
it was already like. Yeah, that's right.
Hello everybody and welcome, I'm Comodin Cam, and today we're going to be dissecting the Transformers 1 trailer, scheduled to release September 13th of this year, or October 11th if you live in the UK. There's so much to break down, so much to theorize. I'm basically going to be going through the trailer frame by frame, spotting out all the Easter eggs and details you may have missed. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, sit back and watch me dissect the trailer. The trailer begins with Orion Pax, voiced by Chris Hemsworth, and D16, voiced by Tyree Henry. Now we're not quite sure what these pair have done to end up in this situation, but we do know they get sentenced to waste management by Darkwing, a character that dates back from the Generation 1 era. Whether or not he gets named Darkwing or if this is actually Darkwing, the homage is pretty strong. Now what's particularly interesting about Megatron's head design is that it pays homage to his original intended cartoon design, before it was redesigned to what we all know today. Next we get the introduction to B127, voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, who carries a lot of the comedic relief in this trailer, and I have no doubt throughout the whole movie as well. Now B127 is of course his name given in the Bumblebee prequel movie, which acts as a soft reboot of the Transformers movie franchise. Now we get a flash forward to Orion Pax becoming Optimus Prime, and as he lands he has the Matrix of Leadership. Looking like he's about to use it to defeat some great evil. This could potentially be the final act of the film, or it may be just a glimpse to his future, who knows? I've got a feeling this is one of the final scenes of the movie. Next we have Orion Pax, D16, Alita 1 and Bumblebee enter some area of Cybertron which leads them to Alpha Trion. This is probably around the point where they've evaded the law of Cybertron and they are now being drawn to this new place where they'll get their T-Cogs by Alpha Trion. Before they get their T-Cogs though, we are shown some brief shots of what the caste system is like on Cybertron. Now for those who are not familiar what the caste system is, the original origins of the Transformers was they were assigned to a certain role, factory work, maintenance, mining, etc. And in Generation 1 they were under the control of the Quintessons, their creators, until the Transformers eventually rebelled against their creators and set themselves free from the caste system. And this shot here I believe is Megatron, because in the IDW comics he was listed as a miner, he would mine for Energon. Now the main differences between Optimus Prime and Megatron is the fact that Optimus was a librarian and Megatron was a miner, so their upbringings are very different. Now in some stories he would rise up and become a gladiator in the pits of Chaos, but it seems like for this story they're stirring away from that a little bit because we get no shots of him in the gladiator arena at all. Maybe that is another story yet to tell in another film. And what we can see later on in this trailer is Optimus trying to encourage Megatron to see more than what he's just assigned to. Of course, with him perhaps being a librarian, he's probably learnt a lot more about Cybertron and wants to go explore. But Megatron, knowing nothing but mining, probably is begrudgingly against the idea of going against his masters with the fear of being punished. Now we get a shot here of a few bots, and you can't really make out who these characters are. Some are suggesting that the guy carrying this is Brawn. Wheeljack is also supposed to be spotted. I can't spot Wheeljack, he's not distinct enough, and people are suggesting as well that this is Sunstreaker and this is Moonracer. I really don't think we're ever going to find out and know for certain. I mean, anything's possible, of course. This could be Jazz, this could be Hound, but until we see a close-up of these characters, we're never going to know. Now we get a glimpse of D16's future when he becomes Megatron, and it appears that he has just engraved the Decepticon insignia onto his chest, because in this shot he's looking much more like his original Generation 1 design. So yeah, he has taken the Decepticon insignia, which I've got to say is a badass shot. Now the mystery behind the Decepticons' origins comes into play here, where we have D16 looking over a body which appears to be the Fallen / Megatronus. Now in the Bayverse canon it was known that the Fallen started off the Decepticons due to him being betrayed by his brothers, so he started his own faction, and Megatron was one of his disciples. Now what we can see here is perhaps a twist of that tale where perhaps D16 looked up to the Fallen as some sort of a mentor or an idol, and just finding out that he's dead, maybe this is his actual body here, has gravely upset him, because we can see the Decepticon insignia on his shoulder. So the Decepticon faction is well known at this point. Megatron in this film did not start the Decepticons, it was someone else. I've got a feeling that this is not Tarn. Despite Tarn taking on the Decepticon insignia to cover his face, I've still got a feeling that this is the Fallen. Of course, anything is subject to change, but we'll just have to wait and see. I've got to admit, I'm a little disappointed that D16 did not start the Decepticon faction, but this is not the aligned continuity. Unfortunately, it could just be foreshadowing that the Bayverse canon is still linked in some way. Now, the next shot we have appears to be one of the Quintesson ships, because we can see several more in the background. The Quintessons were originally the creators of the Transformers. Whether or not they're going to be in this film is a different story. Maybe this is them, obviously colonizing the planet, and the Transformers have to find a way to take their planet back, out of Quintesson control, because later on in the scene, we do see Sentinel Prime, unfortunately coming face to face with one Quintesson. Sentinel Prime in this movie is voiced by Jon Hamm, and I guess the fate of whether or not it's canon to Bayverse or not will be determined if Sentinel Prime survives or not, because he can't die here if he's going to appear in Dark of the Moon. But to be honest, I don't think we have to worry about canon at all. I don't think they're going to make any strong links, especially if this Sentinel Prime turns out to be a wisecrack jackass like in Transformers Animated. Now, I've got a feeling that Sentinel Prime is the leader of Cybertron, or at the very least is overlooking Cybertron, so the Quintessons have arrived to do a sort of a checkup, how is the planet doing kind of thing, and if something's gone wrong, they're not happy about it. Now, his design looks very similar to Transformers Animated and also Zeta Prime from Transformers War for Cybertron. His name was Sentinel Prime, they just called him Zeta Prime because they hadn't quite figured out the canon yet. Now, at some point, D16 and Orion Pax are able to escape the factory because we've got this huge sequence here of a bunch of Transformers vehicles chasing them. They're using jetpacks because they are not able to transform yet, and it appears they are being chased by Sentinel Prime himself. It's the same color scheme that we can see in this shot here. So Sentinel Prime not happy. Later on, we get a long train section where Orion Pax, Alita 1, D16 and Bumblebee are sort of just going along for the ride here. It collapses, it falls apart, where we seem to have a lot of crystals spiking out here. Wow, you don't want to get caught by them. The trailer takes some time to breathe to enjoy the gorgeous scenery of Cybertron here, where we got a bunch of crystals forming. Not quite sure which part of Cybertron this could be, but we do get a section where we've got robot deers. I have got a feeling this is near the Sea of Rust section or something like that. Just based on the colour of it, the rust we can actually see. A deer unfortunately getting blown up and shot. Once again, it makes no sense why robot deers exist, but they do. Looks to me here that the gang's about to hit by something massive, so Bumblebee does the smart thing and runs away. Now, I feel like we're at the midpoint of the movie here, where we come to this cave where we'll eventually meet Alpha Trion, voiced by Laurence Fishburne. Now, this cave seems to hold a lot of dead Transformers. Not quite sure who this is. It looks like Omnix Prime. I'm just basing that on his design and the aligned continuity. And if you look closely, we can see more dead Transformers around, so maybe we find out what happened to them all, and Alpha Trion is the one to tell the tale. Because in a previous shot, we saw Megatron looking over what appears to be the Fallen's body. So did a great battle take place? Was it the Fallen against his brothers, or was it something else entirely? We'll just have to wait and see. Now, in most continuities, the Transformers have their TCOG at birth, but it appears in this case, for whatever reason, these four characters have not received it yet, so Alpha Trion, giving them some sort of mission or task, needs them to be, basically Transformers to reach their fullest potential to succeed in the goal. He grants them their TCOGs, because we do see Transformers with TCOGs, we see them in their vehicle mode, so clearly the rest of the planet has them, except for these specific Transformers. Perhaps all the factory Transformers are just not allowed to have a TCOG because they don't want them going rogue with it. Now, at this point in the movie, Optimus Prime's face design changes to Optimus. We have Megatron here with his cannon. No doubt at this point he's also named himself Megatron. We see Alita 1 have an upgrade as well, along with B. Basically, these guys went from being kids to now grown-ups. Now, I know the comedy may be a hit or miss for some people, but I gotta say, I really do like the comedy here where the Transformers are trying to figure out how to transform, because of course they've just been given this brand new ability, and they're not going to know how to figure it out straight away, and I think Bumblebee gives the biggest laughs in this scene. Unfortunately, they're being hunted down and chased, as we can see the Vehicons, or if they're going to be called the Vehicons, the Troopers at the very least, are outside looking for them. And it's just poor timing that they need to figure out how to activate this T-Cog. So yeah, it's funny to see Optimus Prime figuring out where his head is. I really like this. And you know, we don't actually get a lot of comedy when it comes to the Transformers transforming. Not as much as you'd think. So seeing Bumblebee, you know, struggling to get his wheels sorted out. And some people may be worried about the tone of this movie, that it's too kid-friendly. I have been assured, especially people who saw a clip of this at CinemaCon, they saw a clip between Optimus Prime and Megatron and saying that there was a lot of mature tone. So there's definitely going to be a lot of laughs, but it's still a serious film. Of course, when it comes to marketing purposes, they want to appeal to the kids more, so of course they're going to show more comedic parts in the trailer. Now we get a good look of all of their vehicle modes in this shot here. Megatron is a tank. Bumblebee is very similar to how he appeared in the Cybertron scene in B-movie. Elita 1 is a fresh design. Optimus Prime's design, very similar to how he's always been usually as Orion Pack / a young Optimus. And in fact, the figure is available to buy now. The Studio Series Deluxe Class Optimus Prime is available to buy. We can see it here, and I really do dig this. For those people anticipating my updated Optimus Prime tier list video, this design, I gotta say, I'm really liking it. Now, Alpha Trion's design is interesting. His head is somewhat the same, although it's greatly exaggerated, but he does have an alt mode, which appears to be a lion unicorn thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really digging this so much. Of course, it'll be interesting in the film, but this is a changer. Not a deluxe, it's called a changer class, so not quite sure. It looks fine, you know, but it's just something definitely unique for Alpha Trion, something we've never seen before. Now this part here is shortly before the cave scene because we still have D16 and Orion Pax in their young forms, and we have a lot of ships here. No doubt these are Quintesson ships looking very similar to the Nemesis ship, so who knows, maybe this is inspiration for Megatron in the future. But this is the scene where Sentinel Prime comes face to face with the Quintessons, and which looks to be the Sharkticons nearby. And we've got several Vehicle types. We have gold and silver. Perhaps the gold ones are his elite guard. But whatever Sentinel Prime has done or said has made the Quintesson very unhappy and tortures the dude. So I don't know whether or not Sentinel Prime is going to be like a good guy or a smug guy or not is yet to be seen. But we've not seen a Quintesson design quite like this before, so whether or not this is just a mere henchman of the Quintessons is unknown. We have another shot here with Bumblebee and Elita 1. Now this is where they have their T-Cogs, but maybe they're not quite sure how to handle these new powers, and Alpha Trion is trying to help him out. But looking at Alpha Trion here, he looks really rusted, like he has been in these caves for a very long time. Now in the next shot we do see Elita 1 in her vehicle mode, so she has clearly embraced her new T-Cog. Now what we have here is a Vehicle about to shoot a Gold Seeker. I've got a feeling that this Gold Seeker is somehow a part of Sentinel Prime's elite guard or something. We do have Vehicles in gold, but I imagine that Sentinel Prime also has Seekers in gold. I've got a feeling that this is the turning point of the film where Megatron goes against Sentinel Prime's regime and takes matters into his own hands and forms a loyal following of Decepticons, because we've got Starscream, Soundwave and Shockwave in the next shot, and if all of these guys are together, it's not a good sign. I've got a feeling that we're gonna see at some point Optimus Prime versus Megatron in this film. Now Starscream's coming down from his throne, and I've got a feeling that Starscream is a part of the tribe of Transformers that have gone against Sentinel Prime. Like they're a part of a rebellion group, and all they need is a competent leader that can actually lead them with their cause, and Megatron is the answer. Because we can't see any Decepticon insignias on these Transformers, so I think when Megatron comes, he's like, you guys are going to be Decepticons like me, and you're going to join me. And maybe, just maybe, that's why Starscream has always held a grudge against Megatron for stealing power from him. Because we can see Starscream looking very happy in this scene until Megatron comes and goes, nope, I'm taking charge of this rebellious group and we're going to name ourselves Decepticons. So yeah, we've got a great battle taking place here, and we've got all the Transformers fighting each other. Of course, the circumstances, what that will be specifically, is yet to be known, but this is the point, I think, in the film where Megatron and Optimus go head to head with each other. Now in this shot, we see a bunch of Seekers getting blown away. I see Dirge, Skywarp, Thundercracker. I see so many classic Seeker designs. Now we get a wide open shot of that explosion. Now something's going down here. I have no doubt that this is the area where the rebellious Transformers is at. You know, as you can see with the scenery of Starscream, Shockwave and Soundwave, it's the same location. Not so much to dissect here other than Optimus Prime being an absolute badass. You know, this is him embracing his vehicle mode. I have got a feeling that this is him taking charge. He is becoming the leader that we all know and love. And yeah, and this is very much reminiscent the G1 movie where he flies up in his vehicle mode and transforms. You know, I would be so happy if they did some sort of remix version of the touch in this scene. Oh, it'd just be so cool. Now in the next shot, we see Arachnid, a character from Transformers Prime, make an appearance. And I've tweeted about this. If you weren't happy with Arachnid's character arc, the way how she ended in the show, I feel like this film's going to make up for that a little bit. Because I was shocked that we saw Arachnid. You know, a lot of people are like, isn't this Black Arachnia? Black Arachnia is from Beast Wars, totally different. Arachnid is a unique character on her own, and she's really a vicious character. So what role she plays in this film, it's going to be an interesting one. Whether or not she's just a side character or one of the main big baddies, we'll just have to wait and see. Now in the next shot, we have a Viacon here, who I'm going to name Steve, get attacked by Alpha Trion's Beast Mode. Yep, so this is Alpha Trion here. At first, it's really hard to make out. I thought it was a Shockticon, but I'm pretty certain that this is in fact Alpha Trion. Just based on the rust and the colouring, it matches with Alpha Trion. So maybe for the gang to escape, he transforms into this to help him out. Our next few shots is a great big sky battle taking place, and we have Skywarp taking on a character that I'm not quite sure who it is. I don't know, it looks like Kickback a little bit, but I could be wrong. There's some sort of like infighting going off here. The final few shots of this trailer is basically just Bumblebee needlessly murdering a bunch of Viacons. I mean, it's for comedic relief, but it's like, still, dude, you just cut off that dude's head, you know. I hope these drones have no souls, because that would be kind of a bit vicious. But yeah, Bumblebee's face armor very much resembles his original G1 toy, and also his second form as Goldbug. And there we have it, guys. That's my dissection of the Transformers 1 trailer. There's so much to go into. I feel like I've roughly covered it, but there's just so much to speculate and theorize. You know, we'll just have to wait for another trailer for other scenes to make more sense. But I think this is a really good trailer. I know a lot of people aren't really landing with the comedy and some of the face designs, but you know, I still think it's going to be a great movie. I just want it to be a great Transformers movie as well. You know, I want these characters to be brought to life, you know, and for everybody to know what Cybertron is all about. You know, we love Cybertron. We want more Transformers stories based on Cybertron, and we're finally getting it. So here's hoping the movie does justice to all of the characters and the lore, and it delivers something new at the same time. Of course, to keep all updated on Transformers 1, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get all updates instantly. Anyway, guys, I've been Comodin Cam, and until the next video, goodbye.